everyone, welcome to the review of the OneUp app system. Yes, it is 8 o'clock in the evening and I am drinking a fresh cup of coffee, but I needed some coffee to go through this review. I wanted to be able to give you guys a thorough and informative review, and so that's what we're going to do. Like I just mentioned, this is the OneUp ABS system, or newer product from OneUp. It uses the RakAttach swing out to allow you to basically have all different types of accessories mounted to your swing out slash bike rack system. It's extremely useful for people like me who don't have a whole lot of space or looking to keep things outside of the truck, who like to keep the bike easily out of the way so the dogs can jump out of the back of the truck. You can access things from the back of the truck really easily, and who love having tables at the ready, always on deck. I've kind of been in the market for something like this for a long time. There are some hitch racks that are out there, but they always usually include a tire mount, which I don't need a tire mount. The truck comes with a tire mount. And so I was hoping for somebody to make something. I think there might be a few other brands out there that are doing it, but I have a OneUp bike rack, and when I saw that they launched this product, I had to get my hands on it, and so I have now been using it for a few weeks, and it has been a great addition to my setup. So without further ado, yeah, let's kind of get into it. All right, so in order for all this to work, it all starts with the RakAttach system, which is what you see here. This is one beefy and very heavy. I can't remember how much this thing weighs, but it is solid steel, very heavy duty swing out. It is made to carry. I'll add it into the screen right here what the weight rating is, but essentially it's a very heavy duty swing out, able to carry quite a bit of weight. It mounts into a 2-inch hitch, and it uses this bolt that you can see here. It has like it's hard to explain, but it's like a wedge that goes in there, and as you tighten it, it tightens the hitch to the receiver, or it prevents it from rattling whatsoever. So that's how this guy mounts to this. You can see there are two tiny little pre-drilled, pre-threaded bolt holes here. These are, so I believe you can add a foot pad here, so you can actually add another accessory that I don't have added to this right now. Just so you can get onto it. You can use this as a step to get to the back of the vehicle, or maybe get to the roof if you need to get to anything. Outside of this steel main part of the swing out, it mostly is aluminum. I think everything else on this product is aluminum that's added onto it. Very straightforward. It just has this latch, again, custom aluminum part here. You kind of just adjust these parts here, these screws, and once you get the adjustment right, it's able to latch on as tight or as loose as you want it to. I kind of got it in the middle there, but this is what you do to adjust the tightness and adjust the latch and how it connects to the other part of the rack. So yeah, that covers basically RakAttach itself. Then I learned about the app system, which I kind of mentioned before already. The coolest thing, I love it. So pretty straightforward. But there's basically a mounting bracket that they give you. It's this here, you can see it right there. This kind of hugs the existing RakAttach. Basically how you want to orient it, you get this part, you bolt on these 3 brackets, you mount this aluminum part to the RakAttach itself, and then you can see how it's custom cut to fit around everything. And then the panels mount to these mounting brackets. So these are all aluminum. Everything is aluminum powder coated. So you have the main panel, then you have the side panel, and then you have the table. And these are all separate parts. You can buy just one, or you can buy all 3 of them. You can mix and match them basically how you want to. I went ahead and got all 3 of them because I felt like I needed all 3 of them, and I am using them currently. And so once you have these mounted, it's pretty straightforward. The table was a little bit tricky to mount. Once I figured it out, not too bad. It's just the orientation of where the bolts go and the spacers and the nylon bushings and stuff like that. And it just has these little arms that use these locking pins to go in and out. So these are spring pins, and there's just 2 of those. So 2 of those, they mount it up, and when you take them out of this position, the arm will drop down to here in its little closed position, and you drop everything and you put it back through the other holes. So that's it. That's the table. And the table is a solid aluminum table. Has very sharp edges, I learned. We'll talk about that in a second. And then you have the 2 panels. And so for me right now, what I'm using the panels for is for mounting my Max Tracks and mounting my Rotopacks. This is exactly what I wanted this for, especially the Rotopacks. The Rotopacks, I mounted it on top of the truck before, and it spilled on the truck, and it smelled so bad. This is very nice to be able to have something that, you know, you don't want fuel getting in the truck or on the truck. This keeps it separate from the truck. If you spill any, it's going to be outside of the truck. And then on top of this, I have my Old Faithful OneUp bike rack attached to it, just like you would attach to any other hitch. You can see it there. It slides into the receiver, and then I lock it into it. So the entire system is locked to the truck. There are keys for both the bike rack when it attaches to the hitch on the RakAttach, and then also the RakAttach, like I showed here, has a system where you use a key as well to make sure that no one can come through and just easily steal this, which it would be hard because this is really heavy. So yeah, by no means a light product. If you're big on saving weight, this is a heavy piece of gear to add to your truck. There are heavier things. What's nice is that you can remove this. You can add it to whatever new vehicle you get. If I'm going to add something to my truck, I like to get something that's going to last past the age of my truck itself, so I could use this for a different vehicle down the road. So some of the things I love about it, I kind of mentioned it already, but is the build quality itself. Just like with most things OneUp, everything is dialed in, very precise engineering, and you can just feel it. You can touch the parts, everything's powder coated, everything feels very precise. When you are assembling everything, you can see how all the measurements were done very well, and there's no like trying to adjust things or doing everything's just made to work together very well. Made in USA, of course, always a cool thing. All right, I'm gonna tell you something I hate about it. I wouldn't say hate about the product itself, more about what the product can do to your truck if you're not careful. This is definitely my fault, but if you're not paying attention and you're moving fast, you may, and you have the table basically, there's a chance you will hit your tailgate on this thing if you do not move it out of the way correctly, or you're not careful when you swing it out of the way. So, for example, I had the table open. I had to close it for a reason real quick. I had the tailgate up, and as you can see, that is a very deep gash on my truck tailgate. And that is not cheap to repair. So yeah, that's a bummer. And that is because this is a very sharp edged, like you feel like you can cut yourself on this table. It is very sharp. If you have a kid that's this tall, this is probably about 4 feet tall. So be careful around kids with this basically. But yeah, just watch out for the table, watch out for the parts hitting your truck. You just need to be mindful when you're swinging this out. Make sure it's fully out of the way. Make sure you're not swinging it back into the truck or doing anything stupid like that. Learn from my mistakes. Another thing to bring up again is the table. I kind of can't tell if I like it or don't like it so much. I do wish it was a little easier, like a latch system or something like a quick latch to open and close it. The system that they've gone with is very manual, as you saw me open it and close it, especially for closing it. Opening it's not so hard, but closing it's a little bit more cumbersome. Taking these out, you can lose these very easily. So it works really well. Once it's up, it's extremely strong. It's not going anywhere. However, having a latch system where it could just open and then click it, drop it down would be much smoother in my opinion. And so I would like to see that maybe in the next iteration. I think another thing about the system that I liked was the panels themselves are really well done. I don't think people talk about that very often, but they were thoughtfully made. You can see there's a bunch of different orientations you can do it on. So you got the bolt holes, and then you have the long ones here, and then you have squares. You have all different types of basically orientations that you can use to mount your whatever you have onto the panel system. So yeah, I think that was done really well. All right, to go over some more cons. This is, again, not really a con on the product itself, but just a con in having a swing out system. I think any system would have this, and that is you're now essentially moving your entire bike rack and system out a few more inches past the bumper, which will basically result in having a lower departure angle. So if you do a lot of off-roading, this is going to be something you need to consider. It's still off-roads because I had to go off-roading with it. I didn't get it on video because I was actually trying to get out of a locked gate that I got locked into. Long story. Basically, I went down into a ditch and got out of a ditch with this attached to it with the bike on it. And that was a very steep ditch. Definitely will test departure angles. I'll try to get some footage of me off-roading with it. But yeah, this is definitely something that's going to hinder your off-road performance. It's going to affect your departure angle for sure. So just consider that if that's a big thing that you're into. Another thing I wanted to touch on in terms of something I loved about it was this sweet pin. This pin, I love this pin. Be sure not to lose it, of course, but I think it's probably pretty easy to replace through their website. And you can still close the RakAttach itself without this pin. Just make sure that it's in place if you're on any kind of incline or anything. But yeah, this pin has a magnet, so if you drop it through, you can see here, it just sounds and feels so good. Like you have to kind of be here to feel this, but it's a very strong magnet and it is not going anywhere. There you go. So yeah, big win on this one. I think this is such a cool feature. I don't know why. I mean, most of them use like the spring pins. I think this is way cooler and it just feels a lot better. It is a little worrisome that you could lose it, but I usually just take it out, put it in my pocket, put it back in, or I put it on the bumper, put it back in. So yeah, super cool. All right, so I kind of already mentioned this, but let me show you me shutting the table. So that goes down. So yeah, I don't think you lose them because you're gonna have them in your hands while you're doing this. But yeah, you could lose these, technically. And then these arms, there's nothing holding them from going back past the spot where where it needs to connect with the pin. So where it needs to line up, it can go past that and it can touch the panel, and then you'll have a hard time trying to get this whole thing to lock down. So you have to literally make sure that everything's lined up, and that's not the hardest thing in the world, but it's not the most user-friendly. So I hold basically the arm with my thumb, put this in, push this. Oh god. So there you go. So that's the thing. It has to line up through 3 different holes. So, and it has to do it on both sides. So you go through here. Same thing. Got to find the arm, pull it back, line everything up. So like I said, OneUp is very good about everything being precise, so you know it's going to work, but you do have to line everything up yourself. So these are like moving kind of in space a little bit. There's some space to basically for them to miss where they need to line up. So that's where it could really improve upon, in my opinion. So I just want to briefly show you how this works. So you can see that it will hit my bumper eventually. Right there. You do need to be careful when you're swinging this thing out. I don't know if this is for all swing outs, but I would imagine it is if you have a bike rack attached to it. The way I get past this, I can still open the tailgate with this locked in this position, but if I have it locked, or if I have it out in this position, I think I run into clearance issues with the tailgate. So let's just double check. So this is without a bike on it, for sure. You can see this is gonna be really close. Okay, so you can open the tailgate with the bike rack in this position. However, you cannot open the tailgate if you have a bike on there. All right, so here we go. We got the bike on the rack. You see, it only opens up that far. I believe this will be for most trucks. You can see you will 100% hit it right there. That will leave a nasty dent and likely a big scratch on your truck tailgate. So be careful with the bike on there. It does not swing all the way out. I think it might if I were to slide the hitch out further. I'm not trying to have less ground clearance. So basically, if you have this as close as possible to the truck, you're likely going to need to do what I'm about to show you. Let the bike down, and then you can finally open it. What's nice is you know it's not going to hurt the truck because it has, unless you have like rocks in your tires, but your rubber tires will hit the truck and it'll stop there. Then and only then can you open this. It's scary, but it does indeed clear by, man, a finger. So one of my fingers. That's how much room we have for clearance. So I haven't put two bikes on there yet. I don't know what it would do with two bikes. I assume it's actually going to be the same situation. It would still allow you to open the tailgate if you put the bikes down. But yeah. And now I'll go ahead and show you guys what it looks like to close this up. Pretty straightforward. Swing shut. It has like a hole that it nests into. There's a wedged. So this guy here is the wedge. Goes into this hole and it sets it in place. You get that. There you go. You have your latch, which I'll show you. Also pretty easy to get to. You just have to get down a little bit. It's as tight as you make it. Pretty easy, and that is locked into position. See, that's not going anywhere. And then to make sure it's secure, you pull the pin out of your pocket. And like I demonstrated earlier, it has this magnet. Simple as that. And that's what it would look like fully set up. So yeah, that's pretty much what my setup is right now. See that it adds a lot more length to your truck with the bike rack fully open. Man, let's see what that is. So I already measured what it was like in its fully closed position. This is it in use with the bike on it. So I would say 27 inches. That's where this guy is. So about 27 inches of additional length to your truck. Is what you're expecting. Oh. Okay, so I think that about does it. Thanks for watching my gear talk slash review slash overview of this OneUp ABS product. To kind of summarize, this is a sweet setup if you're looking for something to be able to add additional stuff to the outside of your rig, keep it outside of the truck itself, and just looking for additional space, and also to get your bike and stuff out of the way. Having a table always on deck is very cool. I think it's worked well for an SUV as well. So if you have a truck, it works for you, but it's going to be a little trickier, as you saw, as I demonstrated with the tailgate and stuff. I think with the SUV, that's a lot more straightforward. Having a lift gate or whatever you have. But I would say this is a very, very well done product. I plan on using it a lot. Great for camping. I don't know that I'd use it on road trips in my wife's car and stuff like that. I think it's better for like an overlanding, which I think is what they're gearing it towards, but towards like an overlanding use. I don't think it's great for like families with, if you're doing like family travel and stuff and wanting to get your bike out of the way. I don't think you need the entire APS system. I keep on saying APS system, but basically the entire APS product. I think it's, like I said, more geared towards like the overlander who wants to add additional mounting stuff to their truck. Another big thing, like I said, is that you can take this from your existing vehicle, use it on other vehicles, use it on your next vehicle, stuff like that, which is a big deal to me. And so yeah, I think that concludes the overview or whatever. Thanks for sticking around. Get out there, enjoy life, and get busy living. Take care. Bye.
Bye.